What is it in your life that it takes Jesus Christ to explain? That's been a central question that I ask myself regularly as I walk with Jesus over the years. What is it I'm saying or doing that the only explanation when it comes down to it is Jesus? Or what is it I'm not saying or not doing that the only explanation is Jesus? I came to this in a rather unique way. Many years ago, I was working with a ministry in the dark streets of Fort Lauderdale called Covenant House Ministries. In their Off the Streets program, a little Roman Catholic nun and I used to go out together in the middle of the night from about 10 in the evening till about 3 in the morning and try to beat the predators to the teenage runaways on the streets and get them into safety. And one night as we were out, it was about 1 or 2 in the morning, and the nun said to me, I need to stop by a safe house for abused women. And I said, well, that's fine. And she said, yeah, the problem is you're not allowed in, not just into the apartment, you're not even allowed in the apartment building because you can't know where this safe house is. We don't let men know that. And I said, well, that's fine. And she said, but you're going to have to stay out by the street, by the van. So picture the scene now. I was in a short block in the middle of one of the strongest and busiest crack neighborhoods in Fort Lauderdale. It was the middle of the night. I'm standing by a large white panel van with a little name badge on that said Covenant House, and I'm leaning up against the van. On both street corners, at both ends of the street, were little groups of crack dealers. And here was the situation. A car would slow down, roll down the window to talk to the crack dealers, look down and see me leaning against the van in the middle of the street and screech away. And the crack dealers would look at me. Pretty soon the scene would repeat itself on the other end of the street. And I kept thinking this probably wasn't the best scenario when all of a sudden I looked up and saw one of the largest men I had ever seen in my life coming directly towards me. And his fists were clenched and his jaw was set and his eyes were piercing. And because I have the gift of discernment, I looked at this guy and said, I don't think he's happy. Sure enough, he wasn't happy. In a moment, he came up to me. He said, who are you? What are you doing here anyway? I thought to myself, that's a really good question. I said, well, my name's Max and I'm with Covenant House. He said, Covenant House? So you're the ones that do the stuff for the little children? I said, yeah, that's us. He said, why do you do that anyway? Why are you doing this? Now, that really was a good question. I don't know if you've ever had one of those times when you opened your mouth to say something and you weren't really sure what you were going to say and you sort of surprised yourself with what came out next. When I opened my mouth, what I heard myself saying was, I don't know. I guess I just figure this is where Jesus wants me to be. He looked at me for a second and said, oh, so you're religious, huh? I said, man, I don't know if I'm religious or not. I'm just a person who loves Jesus and follows Jesus, and right now, I think this is where Jesus wants me to be. And that man paused for just a second. And then one tear began to trickle out of the corner of his eye. He looked at me and he said, you probably think I'm a bad man. And I don't know, maybe I am. But you're all right. And what you're doing for the little children, it's all right. Don't you worry about anything, man. You just keep doing what you're doing. He said, who knows? Maybe someday I'll do something good for somebody too. And then he turned around and walked away. Now, as a pastor, I want to tell you, the man fell on his knees right there on the sidewalk and gave his life to Jesus, and now he's preaching somewhere. But the truth is, I know nothing about that man's future. He may be in prison right now. He may be the governor of Florida for all I know. But this much I do know. About 3 o'clock in the morning, as I was on my way home that night, I thought to myself, why are there not more moments like that in my life? If I'm truly a follower of Jesus, why aren't there more moments for which the only explanation is Jesus? You know, the key was that night I had chosen to join Jesus in His mission, because that's what this whole business of following Jesus is all about. Jesus said, as you're going, make disciples of all the nations and baptize and teach. The presumption was that there would be those things in our lives that it takes Jesus Christ to explain. I like to think that there are increasing moments in my life that only Jesus can explain. But what about you? Are you ready to join Jesus in His mission? Or to put it another way, what is it in your life today that it takes Jesus Christ to explain?